appreciate that. So, good morning. Good news, bad news. Pastor Joe is still in South Africa. I actually did know that, but thank you. He's still in South Africa, and because he's there, I'm getting to preach. So I'll let you figure out which is the bad news, which is the good news. Don't tell me, because I am easily offended. Please don't let me know. Today's going to be a little different, and I know I say that every time I get up here because, well, I am a little different. It's a combined service today, which means anybody that wants to be in here can. That does not mean if you don't want to be in here, you can leave, though. So all ages. We have children's ministry in here, and even if we have some preschoolers whose parents, for some reason, want them sitting on their lap or next to them, they can do that too. I'm not judging either way. Before we get started, I do have a meme to shame everybody very quickly. And you'll probably figure out what I'm talking about as soon as I show it. There we go. A list of people volunteering for children's ministry. You see him looking at that paper. And I did this with elementary in mind. But then I also see the schedule that Erica puts out. And out of a 4-week month, her name is on there sometimes 5. And I just don't know how the math works out. I don't know how that works. And I say it is to shame you. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's an icebreaker because we're going to be starting the new year. And when we start the new year, we're going to be relaunching some things. And I would love to have more volunteers in children's ministry as a whole. We're going to be making some changes for elementary where we're going to have basically print and go lessons. It's going to be similar to what we did with Orange, where it's just very easy to grab. But the difference is there's going to be more Jesus in it. More Jesus, okay? It's going to be more Bible-focused than moral-focused. What we had before served a purpose, but as we focus on the essentials, we want our children's curriculum to do the same thing. And I would love for people to be willing to volunteer once a month, once every 2 months. And if you are afraid of children, I don't know what to tell you. You were once one. But I would love to get people involved. And if you say, I don't know what to do, well, it's going to be on the paper. If you can read, you can do it. That's all teaching is, right? Yeah. But if anyone is slightly interested in doing this, please let me know. And not only will we work you into the rotation, we won't work you into it until you're ready. Myself, Amanda, Jessica, we will go with you, and you can just come with us every now and then until you're comfortable doing it. We would love to see everybody get more involved with that. All right, now we had some communion, we had some fire, we had some praise. It's now time for a silly song break because this is a combined sermon/lesson. You're going to see us do some things that we do in children's ministry. Did I turn the sermon into an advertisement for you to help out in children's ministry? Possibly. She sees it. Possibly. But there will be some Bible involved, I promise you this. So I need everybody to please stand. We're going to play a video by one of those underrated boy bands called Boys in the Sink. Their smash hit Belly Button. And there is a prize. There's a prize for the best singing in motions. So while this is going on, I'm going to be looking around. I am looking for participation. Don't get crazy. We're Baptist, okay? Don't get crazy with it. You do a little more than this, and I don't know what's going to happen there. But take your cues from the video. It'll give you some ideas. We'll go ahead and do you have that up? Are we ready? All right, we'll go ahead and do that now. Good job, Pat. Pastor Al. I see that.
Baby, I know your eyes see right through my disguise, and no one can deny, baby, that I'm the one whose love is no surprise. And he can't tell you no lie, but there's a secret I've been hiding, I can't keep it no more. There's this thing about himself he's never told you before. Baby, he needs to tell you something. I don't got a belly button. Oh, I need to tell you something. You figured out he don't got a belly button. Belly button, no. Oh, no, no. Baby, please don't squeal. Just tell me how you feel. 'Cause his love is for real. And if you went away, my heart would never heal. So to you he appeals. There's something missing in my middle, and it's hard to ignore. There's this thing about himself he's never told you before. Baby, he needs to tell you something.
Looking for crowd participation. Pastor Al, you're on point. You're on point. Oh, Mr. Ron, I see it. I see it. Oh, I got a bracket over here. Oh.
Belly button! Belly button! You say your belly button's missing, there's no reason for alarm. It's a common thing for gourds, it won't do you any harm. You're technically a fruit, and with that much being said, you're umbilically equivocal. Is something on your head? You could ask for a prosthetic, but of course you'd have to know it'd be covered by your shirt, but not your HMO. Belly button! Belly button!
A stylish something absent from my midriff's decor.
There's this thing about himself he's never told you before.
Baby,
He needs to tell you something.
I don't got a belly button. Oh, I need to tell you something.
You figured out he don't got a belly button. Belly button, no. Oh, no, no.
No belly button.
I will say this right here, me saying random words over there, was the closest I've ever
Do
been
I
to
at
leading
least
praise
get
and
a
worship.
lollipop?
I will say that. All right, so let me answer some questions real quick. Why in the world would he play that video? Why in the world wouldn't I? It's classic. It's wonderful. Because it's an icebreaker. It's to get people moving around. It's just to have fun, and we do that in children's ministry. So thank you for your participation. Right now, can I get Paige and Piper? I need you to grab any random candy from this bucket, and I need Mr. Ron and Pastor Al to get a candy because their participation was on point. I do thank everyone else for participating that did, but get one you would like. Don't give them the one that no one likes. Or one of you can grab the bucket, and the other one can hand it to them. Whatever you want to do. I'm just going to ask that you don't drop it all on the ground because then it's like a piñata, and everyone dives on it, and then the lesson's over. Thank you so much, so much, so much. Well, we're going to be talking about Revelation chapter 3, verses 7 through 13. Yes, I just gave away a toy monster truck because Braxton was killing it over here. But we're going to be talking about the Church of Philadelphia. So when I think Philadelphia, I think a few different things. So I want to go over those right now. Did you do that or did I do that? Okay. So I'm like, did my thumb? Oh, okay. So that's what we're doing. Here's some things you may think about it or you may not think about when you hear Philadelphia. The Philadelphia Union. I have a prize right now for the first person that can tell me what in the world the Philadelphia Union is. Yes, ma'am? No, you got to pick one. This is like a standardized test. You circle two and you get it wrong. No, I'm talking to Natalie. What is it? Soccer team. Come and get a prize or a candy. Yes, it is the soccer team. Now, I have some different images, and I went from least relevant to most relevant. So as you can see, sorry for you soccer fans, the Union, they are not as relevant as, who is this? The Philadelphia 76ers. So we went from soccer, I even forgot what sport that was. We went from soccer to basketball. Feel free to debate me afterwards about which franchises and which sports are more relevant. Sorry, girls, I couldn't find a volleyball team. I'm sorry. I'll look harder next time. The Philadelphia Flyers. And I have to be honest with you, if I were a thermometer, judging how much I care about any of this stuff, I'm still about at my knees. Philadelphia Flyers brought me up a little bit because I like hockey, but they're still the Philadelphia Flyers. I would say no offense, but it would be a lie, and I don't want to do that up here. This was hard for me. This was hard because if it were just me, we would have already done the Phillies, then we would do the Flyers. But I feel like baseball is more of America's game, or should I say the U.S., not North America. So we have the Philadelphia Phillies. Then the Philadelphia Eagles. All things people think about when they hear Philadelphia. I'm sorry? Eagle? Okay, Eagle. Thank you. With Pastor Joe not here, I'm glad his wife is here to help me with pronunciation. Now, I do love me some football, and during the last song, I had to turn off all notifications on my iPad because it's getting closer to kickoff, and my fantasy football app was ding, 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 so I had to cut that. So now, I'm probably up to here on my thermometer of care, and there's one last thing, probably the main thing we all think about, or we should think about when we hear the word Philadelphia. Does anyone care to guess? Well, we had the Eagles. If you have already seen my presentation and you know, you keep your hands down. Yeah. Well, I will tell you this. As I was finishing up the presentation last night, we had to stop and go get dinner. Philly cheesesteak. When you say Philly, I think cheesesteak. How about this? I say Philly, you say cheesesteak. Philly? All right, we'll stop right there. We did find a nice hole-in-the-wall place, and it was good. It cost me a little more money than I wanted to because I forgot there's 5 of us and we all need drinks and fries, but it was good. But you need to know more about Philadelphia in the Bible, not the one over in Pennsylvania right now, or I'm sorry, how do I say that? Pennsylvania? Yeah, Pennsylvania. Philadelphia was situated on a major Roman road that led from Troas in the west through Pergamum, where is Joe when we need him? Thyatira and Sardis, and then to Philadelphia in the east. The city derives its name from the loyalty between the 2 brothers who were influential in founding the city. Eumenes II and his younger brother, Attalus II. The younger brother resisted pressure from Rome to turn against his older sibling, earning him the nickname Philadelphus, brotherly love. So when you hear people call Philadelphia the city of brotherly love, that's where it comes from. It has roots back in biblical times. It does. I don't know why they call Chicago the Windy City, besides that it's probably windy. I don't know if there's any biblical roots there. So you know a little more about Philadelphia. And when we think of Philadelphia, instead of cheesesteaks or any sports franchise, we need to think about faithfulness, because that sums it up. I'm not going to spoil what Pastor Joe is going to do, but I will tell you, out of all the churches that we have gone over and we will be going over, this is the church right here. No complaints. On Yelp, they got 5 out of 5 stars. Or if Yelp was a thing back then, they would have. But that does not mean that the Church of Philadelphia did not face hardships. They did. Like Sardis, Philadelphia was subject to earthquakes And in AD 17, the city was devastated by the major quake that hit the region. The city was destroyed in a great earthquake in AD 17, resulting in the people living outside of the city itself for a time out of fear that another earthquake would occur. The people in Philadelphia lived in constant dread of another disaster. I've never been in an earthquake, and I think I like it that way. Okay. I don't know how I feel about the floor moving, the ground opening up, things falling on me. I have a hard enough time walking into church and realizing I have to sit in a different seat. Am I right? I don't need all that. Jacob, can you come over here for a minute? Stand up. Let's come here. Little sidebar. This was not on purpose. Just so you all know. This was not on purpose. Okay? As if it were to happen to Jesse and Natalie, they would meet each other like, oh, and they'd think it was great. Oh, twinsies. The moment Jacob and I realized we looked at each other, this was our expression. And Jesse jumped in really quickly and said, don't change, don't change, don't change. So I just had to get that out of the way since I kept looking at Jacob. But that's a hardship we face. Sometimes we dress alike. There was persecution and there was opposition for the Church of Philadelphia. Little different than the persecution and opposition we have today. We're always going to be opposed as Christians, okay? As believers, we're going to be opposed. There's going to be persecution. But the main pagan cult in the city was the worship of Dionysus, the god of wine. I feel like I know some people that worship that god. More importantly, this church faced Jewish opposition similar to that encounter in Smyrna from those that claimed to be Jews but were not. So they said they were something. And you know what? Maybe at one point some of them thought they were, but their actions did not show. They had ulterior motives. They were not. They were not. So as we get to the passage, Revelation 3:7, it is about open doors, locked doors, and a key of David. So I made sure, just like if you were all children, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't like visuals, this Sunday is not for you. Just going to throw it out there. To the angel of the church in Philadelphia, write, these are the words of him who is holy and true, who holds the key of David. What he opens, no one can shut, and what he shuts, no one can open. It's not a literal door, just so you know. But I will say God has opened many doors for his people. Right now, Pastor Joe's over in South Africa. We have people that were here at our missions conference that are in an undisclosed area in Asia. Now, the open door and closed door, if you look up some commentaries, there are a lot of different ideas behind it and theories, and a lot of them make sense. But right now, I'm talking about God opening the door for his people, giving them opportunity to grow, flourish, and make disciples. That's what I'm going to focus on right here. And if you look around the world, there are a lot of places that have closed the door to believers. However, God's still opening that door and creating opportunities. We've seen huge things happen, such as the Berlin Wall. That was taken down. We have, like I said, I know people that are in other countries that it's not Christian friendly, but some of these countries are slowly adapting, slowly evolving, and I will say that's not an accident. God, just like we saw with Pharaoh in the Old Testament, he can soften hearts, he can harden hearts. So don't say, oh man, I really hope this happens. Oh, God is our great hope. God makes it happen if he chooses for it to happen. I think it was 2008 or 2009, Jesse, you and I went to Kosovo. And I can tell you where we were at, if you crossed the train tracks, it was Serbia, correct? So you had a group that called themselves Christians, but they were really into like killing others that weren't. And then you had some that were of Muslim faith, and they were really interested in killing others that weren't. And the area had been through a war. We stayed with a host family, and there were bullets in the wall. And they told us some horrific stories that I just don't care to talk about now. But we got in there because God opened the door. We came in to teach English and do a summer camp. But they knew we were going to be making relationships with families. We got to walk with our interpreters who they were fair game. We got to witness to them. They took us to families whose kids were in the camp. Many doors were opened, and if you open your eyes, you will see God is going to continue to do that. We would love to see it continue in the Middle East. Revelation 3:8, I know your deeds. I have a guy there kind of like a creeper, looking. I didn't want to throw sand on here to ruffle some feathers, but I know your deeds. See, I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut. I know that you have little strength, yet you have kept my word and have not denied my name. Well, the gospel and ministry has been opened wide to them. There's been some toil, there's been some strain, there's been hardships, like I said, but they did see people convert to Christ. And it has nothing to do with obedience or disobedience. God's just simply opening the floodgates for his church. And he actually gives a reason for this because they are little in power. They are not a powerhouse church, okay? They're a small little church, but what are they doing? They are being faithful. They're doing what God has asked them to do. Okay? They kind of have blinders on. And when I say blinders, man, I wish I had a pair of God blinders, so I could just focus on his word, so I could focus on him and not have to worry about all the other things that I do worry about. Now, right now, we need to call a break. I think it's snack time. So I need to get Braxton, and I need Cicely. I need you to hit that side. Please don't drop them. I need you to hit that side. So this is just like children's church. We're going to have a little snack. Here you go. You hit the middle on that side. So feel free to have some refreshments. Snack time, snack time. But again, as we look at Revelation 3:8, I want to focus on, I know that you have little strength. I know that you have little strength. Okay, God knows that this is a small church, and they have little strength, but their main superpower is their faithfulness. They have kept his word, and they have not denied his name. I'm not going to ask any of you to tell me truthfully what would happen if someone came in here with machine guns and said, deny his name. I'd like to say I'm going to not deny his name. Whoop, whoop. I'd like to say that, and I believe that I would, but you know what? I haven't been in that situation. They were in that situation. They passed that test, and that's why they are known as faithful. And God really doesn't have any complaints. He decided not to be a nitpicking God and say, well, you did this that one time, and I didn't like the color of the carpet, or just don't like the way you passed out the bread. He decided not to do that. Revelation 3:9, let's see. Now, everybody that is on their phone playing a game, go ahead and put your head up real quick. Not mentioning names. I planned on doing this before I got here. Oh, I heard someone say, Among Us. Among Us. Well, I told you on Facebook there were going to be some pop culture references. I wasn't lying to you. Yeah? Behold, I will cause those of the synagogue of Satan who say that they are Jews and are not, but lie. I will make them come and bow down at your feet and make them know that I have loved you. Well, there's a pretty popular game out right now called among us. And the idea is you have this group of little space people, aliens, whatever they are, they're on a ship, and they have to complete certain tasks to win. But there's an imposter. And depending on the settings, there could be up to, I believe, 3 imposters. And there's nothing that looks different about them except their colors. They can do little add-ons like hats and masks. But there's nothing that shows you they're the imposter. Nothing that they're wearing. Do you know how you figure out who the imposter is? By their actions. Okay? Because if you are a crew member, you've got to watch your back because you might be turning on the electricity and then someone comes behind. But you have to watch and see what people are doing. One thing I find that happens very often, someone will say, oh, Yellow's the imposter. Why is Yellow the imposter? Because I just watched Yellow fake a task. He acted like he was doing something, but he really wasn't doing it. Oh, some hypocrisy, some two-facedness, if you will. And that's something that they were dealing with, not only in Revelation 3:9, this pretty much echoes Revelation 2:9, something we saw in Smyrna. You have people claiming to be Jews, but they're not. People are acting like they're one thing, but they're not. And guess what? We see this today. People that will say, oh, I believe this, you can't do that, but then their actions are just something different. And I have to tell you a secret. All of you in this building are probably guilty of doing it at least once, as am I. Okay, because we let our guard down, we don't think it out, and then we realize, oh, this kind of goes along with what I don't believe. Why am I doing this? But it says victory right there. And it says victory, well, because if you're able to complete your tasks and stay faithful to the mission, the imposters, they lose. If you get all of the missions taken care of, they lose. Plus, you can also call them out and vote them out. I don't know if God's going to work out a voting system where we vote people out from eternal life. I don't think that's going to happen because I don't think we can be trusted to make God-like decisions, okay? I mean, I know Jacob and I can't. We can't even dress differently. We have to rely on one another. Revelation 3:10. Since you have kept my command to endure patiently, I will also keep you from the hour of trial that is going to come to the whole world to test the inhabitants of the earth. God will shield us from his wrath. That might have been a little stretch there because I wanted to have a cool little picture there, but I do think it fits. You know, God is a God of love, yes, but he's also a God of wrath. Okay, there are consequences, there are punishments, and because the church has kept his command to endure patiently, he's going to hook them up. You don't need this. You don't have to deal with everything that I'm going to do to everyone else. And that's because you're special. Because you did what I asked you to do. Revelation 11. Let's look at the Church of Philadelphia. A lot of things going on around them. People out to get them. Okay? People out to get them because they are not really of them. They are not the same. They're haters. All right? And they want to act like they're the Jews, but they're not. There's earthquakes happening. There's just a lot going on for these people. And verse 11 says, I am coming soon. Hold on to what you have so that no one takes your crown. There is not a literal crown that's going on. It's not like a Mario Brothers game where I believe there is a game where we're driving around and whoever has the most points is wearing the crown. It's not that. It's not that. What he's saying is, he's already said, you're doing good. You're doing good. You're going to be rewarded. I'm going to spare you. But keep doing what you're doing. Don't get distracted. Don't take your eye off of the prize. So they were doing what they were supposed to be doing, and he just wants them to continue. So basically, in Disney/Pixar language, just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. They found the right recipe. They found the plan. And all they had to do was just listen to God and follow. Imagine that. They were faithful. They did not get distracted by what was going on around them. They did not get distracted by false gods that they definitely could have. And you know what? I will say, you have been paying attention the entire time, and I'm so pleased with you. So you get a shimmer bracelet. Okay? Now, on the package, it does say, as seen on TV. So you know it's good then, if people have seen it on TV. Is there someone that's jealous? Because I may have another one. Okay. Stu looks like the jealous type, I can tell. All right, so Dory, if you have seen Finding Nemo, you know that it's a tragic tale. And Dory, she says, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. Because really there just isn't much else to do. There isn't. And if God tells you what to do, be faithful. Do not give in to the evil one. I don't really think there is much for you to do. Because then the line is drawn. It's right there. With, against, with, against. But you have this group, these people that are claiming to be Jews, but are not. They're on that line right there where they're acting one way, they're doing something different, and causing a lot of hardship and persecution for the Church of Philadelphia. So, when we think about Philadelphia in the future, I know it's going to take a lot more than a slide for you to remember who the Philadelphia Union is. I want you to remember faithfulness. You remember brotherly love because, well, Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. I knew that before I had ever even looked at a Bible. Okay? But I want you to remember they were faithful. Faithfulness, because they just kept swimming. Revelation chapter 3, verse 12, the one who conquers, I will make a pillar in the temple of my God, and he will never go out again. I will write on him the name of my God, and the name of the city of my God, the new Jerusalem, which comes down out of heaven from my God, and my new name. What I want to focus on right there is, when I read this, I immediately thought of columns and pillars, and I thought about someone getting branded. All right? And that did send me into a bunny trail and different possibilities of images and things I thought about talking here, but I have been told by my wife and the pastor's wife not to discuss those. So I kind of discussed it right there. But you remember, I don't know, how many here are cowboys? No? Oh, you're a cowboy. Okay, we have a cowboy. Who here has been on a farm where they've had to keep track of their cattle and their livestock? Oh, okay. And what they used to do, and they may still do it, I don't know, it's been a long time since I've been a cattle rustler, but what they would do is they would take what is called a branding iron, heat it up, and then they would just put it on their livestock, their cattle, and there would be initials or a symbol or an emblem, so everyone knew, oh, that cow belongs to Pastor Al. That's Pastor Al's cow right there. Kids, it is the equivalent to when you spend the night somewhere or your parents have to send a change of clothing to school, how they write your name on the tag. Same thing. Permanent marker. And now you have some companies stop doing tags. They just print it on the t-shirt and they just like thwarted some moms. I don't know what they were doing. But Revelation 3:12, we're focusing on God and Jesus promising those that are with him, those that conquer all the hardship and the haters, They will be a pillar. They will be the foundation in the temple of God and never go out again. He is claiming them. It will be known to everybody who they are, who we are. Just like I'm walking around with a sign. I'm sorry you were bored, Miss Shirley. I'm sorry. Will you stay if I give you some candy? All right, love you too. Oh man, my Yelp review just went down to like 4. It definitely did. It definitely did. Now, so Revelation 3:12 is a continuation of a promise and just saying this is what's going to happen. God has focused on the Church of Philadelphia in these few verses about what they have done right and what he's going to do as a result. It's classic cause and effect. This may be the best picture right there. Yes, that may be the best picture. All right, because you were the first one to laugh. Here you go. Bloop. You get a teddy bear. Man, those ears. Look at those ears. Revelation 3:13. Let anyone who has ears to hear listen to what the Spirit says to the churches. Wake up, folks. Similar. Wake up. Look around us. There are many people, there are many forces around us wanting us to do things we are not supposed to do. They want us to compromise our testimony. They want us just to turn from God. But it says, let anyone who has ears to hear listen to what the Spirit says to the churches. In order to be faithful, you have to listen. Because you need to know what to do in order to be faithful. I am a teacher. I work with kids in the church. I work with kids at the school. And one of my favorite things is to give in-depth, detailed instructions about an assignment, only to be interrupted halfway through. Say, but what do we do? Or I finish, and someone raises their hand, and I'm so pleased they raise their hand instead of calling out. And I say, yes. What? What are we supposed to do? Don't raise your hand because you're somebody that does that. Yes, I will call you out. In order to know what to, basically, in order to do what you're supposed to do, you have to know what you're supposed to do. In order to know what you're supposed to do, you have to listen. But in biblical times, and even now, there's not just one voice. There are so many voices telling us what we should do, shaming us, kind of like how I tried to manipulate you earlier into volunteering in children's ministry. So many people with their agendas, and when it comes down to it, a lot of them are not serving God. So when it comes down to it, if they're not serving God, they're opposing God. They're serving someone else. So please make sure you have these big Dumbo-like ears when it comes to God, so you can hear, so you can listen to what the Spirit says to the churches. Now let's review. That was for me right there, actually. And that was for Natalie. Let's review. For those of you that don't know, in football, the referees are so bad at paying attention to what goes on. Sometimes they get it wrong, and then a coach has to throw a challenge flag. And if I would have had a red rag, I would have brought it. That's what they do. And then the referees review so they can say, wow, guess we weren't even paying attention at all. That was a score. Or no, he didn't catch the ball. It went in the stands. Something like that. So we are going to review real quick. It's going to be a quick review. Commendation. Jesus praises the church because even though they had limited strength, they kept God's word and did not deny his name. The church probably was smaller and lacked any political, social, or financial influence in Philadelphia, yet that did not cause them to compromise to their culture around them. And that's one thing I'm talking about, compromising to the culture around you. Guess what? Where I work, I'm not around a lot of believers. I'm not. And sometimes it's difficult to not passively fall into that, to start going into a direction that you say, oh, I don't go this direction. I don't believe that. It's very easy to become overwhelmed. And fortunately, the Church of Philadelphia did not fall into that. Okay? They did not compromise to the culture around them. They stayed. Come get a prize. Unfortunately, it's someone that lives with me. I was really hoping for anyone else. Too late. Too late. And the great thing is she's grabbing all this candy, and when we get in the car, we're going to say, you can't have sugar today. So, I want to say she was going to do that before I told her she couldn't have sugar, but who knows. So there was commendation, compliments, praise. You did what I wanted you to do. You were faithful to me. Boom. Great job. Condemnation. Well, the church is faulted for nothing. They weren't doing anything that God felt needed to be called out. The church was not perfect. There was nothing for Jesus to condemn them over. Wow. I wish I could go a day like that. I do. It's pretty proud of myself as I picked up the bread today, and then I went and picked up Starbucks for my family, and orders were changing and sizes were not clarified, and I didn't know how many pumps of sweetener to put in this and that. Got a little frustrated, but I chose to do it over text because over text things are lost like tone. And even though, as I'm thinking, it's like, all I want to know is what size to get her. When it's on text, you can assume that's what it is, but they don't know for sure. So I chose to do that so I wasn't really attacking somebody on the phone. I don't know what happened today, but all through the morning, I found myself making right choices. And at the end, I had to say, this was not me, this was God. Because as I look down real quick to see if the coffee and the drinks are spilling, I look up and 3 cars have decided to stop in front of me. And I very quickly brake and then go around them because there was a turn lane. And instead of saying, you idiot, what's wrong with you? And I never yell at them, but it's just to me in my bubble. I was like, not a good choice. So I don't know what's been going on today, but I can tell you God is definitely in control of that. So I would say this morning, I feel like there was very little going on in my life to be condemned over. But I do want to say it's only 12:05. It's only 12:05. Which we know it's lunchtime because Miss Shirley left. Instruction or warning. The church was told to hold on to what it had. Awesome. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Keep doing. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Warning to them. There wasn't a warning. It's like, you've been a bad church. No. You guys are great. Don't really see a lot around here to mark you down on. Okay, see you. I feel like that's what it was. Have you ever turned in a paper or some project, and as you turn it in, you're like, just waiting to be told that you didn't even do the right project or something like that? And they're like, oh, this is great. I smell an A. 100%. Oh. Okay. You expect a warning on your next paper, you need to do this. No, you're told, you could probably teach the class. Like, cool. That's what happened here. Not only was Philadelphia on point, they were pretty much an example. Or they should have been. Hey, everybody, you want to know how to do things right? Look at Philadelphia. And I'm sure people didn't like that too. Like, Philadelphia, brown-noser. Rewards. Jesus promises several rewards to those who persevered in this church and became overcomers. Persevere. Somebody that is in elementary school, can you tell me what persevere means? Because I don't know. Ooh, I like it. Keep on pushing on. Something's hard, you're dealing with it, you just handle it and you keep going. Kind of like, just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. We are going to be relaunching next year. Okay? and we're going to name ourselves the Essential Church. And this is a little plug for what we're doing, because as I thought about the Church of Philadelphia, how can we emulate them? Okay? How do we emulate the Church of Philadelphia? And it led me to Acts chapter 2, verses 42 through 47. And when I did that, I said, I need to plug the Central Church, because that's pretty much our pillars, if you will. And it goes on to say, Acts 2, 42 through 47, they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching, to the fellowship, to the breaking of bread, and to prayer. Everyone was filled with awe, and many wonders and signs were being performed through the apostles. Now all the believers were together and held all things in common. They sold their possessions and property and distributed the proceeds to all as any had need. Every day they devoted themselves to meeting together in the temple and broke bread from house to house. They ate their food with joyful and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favor of all the people. Every day the Lord added to their number those who were being saved. I'm sure there were many distractions there, but they did not fall for them. Okay? They were doing what they were supposed to do. They just kept swimming. And once we can all start swimming together as a school in the same direction, and guess what? It's probably upstream, going against the flow of this world. We have that chance, we have that opportunity to be like the Church of Philadelphia. And I really think that we can do that. And apparently that was my last slide there, because it's black now. So that was our quick review. I know it's about lunchtime, but we're going to play a quick little game. Can you get that up for me? I need